Very good evening, viewers. You're watching the Urban Debate with me, Afrida Rahaman Ali. The problem and fear of disloyalty, dissent and defection is now haunting the Goa unit of the Congress party. After some MLAs showed discontent within the party, it all started, in fact, on the 9th of July, on Saturday, when AICC learnt about the split in the MLA race in Goa. The Goa Congress in charge, Dinesh Gundu Rao, was rushed to Goa while a group of MLAs met at a resort in Goa. Now, interestingly, DIGAMBAR KAMAT, former CM and senior leader of the Goa Congress, skipped this meeting. However, state party chief refuted talks about split within the party ranks. On the 10th of July, high drama unfolded again with DIGAMBAR KAMAT as well as Michael Lobo not showing up for a key meeting called by the Goa Congress in charge. Today, a petition has been filed with the Speaker seeking disqualification of DIGAMBAR KAMAT and Michael Lobo from the Congress party. However, the leaders have said, both these two leaders in fact have said that they are still with the Congress and false information has been spread against them. Why the Congress Goa is currently in this turmoil? Now, it is interesting for many reasons. This entire turmoil dates back also to the year 2019 and February 2022. 3 years ago, on the 10th of July 2019, the Congress suffered a major jolt when 10 of its 15 legislators, two-thirds in fact, defected to the BJP in Goa. That is how the BJP managed to form its government. It was this incident that really prompted the Congress to get its 37 election candidates to take a pledge of loyalty. We are running those pictures there. It is something a little unprecedented that you literally have the party central leadership making you sign an affidavit, take a pledge of loyalty. All of that was playing out in full public view. And now, as we understand, nothing worked. Some of those very MLAs who took that pledge on that day as well seems to now making noises about defecting or leaving the Congress party. In Jan and February this year, with senior leader Rahul Gandhi in attendance, 37 election candidates of the Congress party and 3 from their alliance partner, Goa Forward Party, swore loyalty to their respective parties and pledged not to defect. Clearly, there were indications that there is discontent, and therefore these pledge ceremonies, in fact, were held. So the developments in the last 3 days clearly suggest that the discontent in the members within the party has now blown over. Tonight, I want to understand from the Congress and from our other experts whether this is an engineered defection, as the Congress is alleging, or there is a serious internal churn. In fact, joining me here on the program today is none other than Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao, who has been, in fact, given the responsibility to firefight this crisis in Goa. Mr. Gundu Rao is very much in Goa, from what I understand. And also, a very good evening, Mr. Dinesh Gundu Rao. Thank you so much for joining us here on the program. And we've been tracking all developments in Goa, Mr. Gundu Rao. I want to ask you that we saw pictures of you with other two leaders in a huddle. How are you fighting this crisis? First of all, tell us what has triggered this so-called rebellion that 2 of your top leaders, Mr. Michael Lobo, who only recently joined the Congress party, and DIGAMBAR KAMAT, who was a former Congress chief minister, has decided to break ranks with the Goa Congress.
These leaders who we have said, like you said, one is the former chief minister, and one was a leader of the house. Now, DIGAMBAR KAMAT, for whatever his reasons, I do not know why. Congress party has given every position. He was the leader of opposition in the previous government. BJP was, and today he was made the working committee member. And Mr. Michael Lobo, we had made him the CLP leader, and he was the leader of opposition now. Now, it looks to be that, see, there are 2 things here. The BJP wants to create a situation where there is no opposition in the state. And they have been talking to these people. One is Mr. Michael Lobo has been facing severe attacks from the government. There have been a lot of notices. They've been targeting him, and they've been silencing him. And Mr. DIGAMBAR KAMAT, I do not know why. He himself has to say why he wants to go. Because Congress gave him a 5-year term as chief. And And but this is a conspiracy which has been planned by the BJP from the national level, and these are national leaders of BJP involved in this. And I think the main game is
But
to see
isn't this
that the
clear
Congress party
mismanagement,
is.
Mr. Gundu Rao? The way Michael Lobo was appointed as the leader of opposition, that also ruffled a lot of feathers. Certain other leaders, DIGAMBAR, KAMAT, felt sidelined, the ones who worked tirelessly for the party. And now it's a lose-lose situation. Even the ones who joined are leaving, and the ones who've been nurtured, like you put it, over the years are also leaving.
See, there is big money at play here. You know, these people have been contacted by BJP leaders. Huge sums are being offered. Ministries are being offered. Though the BJP has got a majority in the House, though they have got a stable government here, they are still
Yes,
split
that's
strong.
why this time, can you really blame the BJP? They are saying we are in a comfortable position. We don't need to woo the Congress MLAs in Goa.
No, see, what the BJP wants is a one-party rule, not only in Goa and across the country. They want to demolish the opposition. They use all these threats. They use the government machinery. They use institutional mechanisms, and they're offering immense amounts of money here. Some of our MLAs who've been contacted, they've been offered 20 crores, 30 crores.
What
So
evidence do
when you
you
want
have?
to.
So why don't you expose the BJP? I keep hearing this argument for once and for all. Why doesn't the Congress release some evidence to suggest that this money is being offered? There has to be something to substantiate these claims, Mr. Gundu Rao.
Evidence is what, why do people want to defect now? What is the reason? When the BJP is in power, why do you think people want to defect?
Mr. DIGAMBAR KAMAT is saying he's hurt and humiliated. In fact, he's also taken your name in it. He says he's been left sidelined. Despite being a tall leader, he has not been given the kind of respect. Isn't this a failure of the central leadership as well?
I just told you what all has been done for him. When he joined the Congress, after 2 years of joining the Congress, he became the chief minister in the Congress party. For 5 years, he was the chief minister. How was he sidelined? He was the leader. He was the CM, literally the CM face for us in the last election. Every decision was taken with him at the center of it. So, see, personal ambition there, then greed is there, money is there, big business is involved. In Goa today, mining mafia, the mining lobby and the coal lobby is also involved. They are pressurizing our MLAs, switch over to BJP. They are saying, we will switch over to BJP. So big business, big money, big power, and threats and inducements. This is the game that they want to. They want to completely.
Mr. Gundu Rao, it's state after state. It's Madhya Pradesh, it's Rajasthan, it's Goa. Everywhere your state unit is disintegrating. At multiple levels, your party seems to be disintegrating. Today, Manish Tiwari is saying he's declined to sign the Agnipath letter. So there's dissent all across. Can you really go by the argument that BJP is engineering all of this all over the place?
See, you do not underestimate what BJP is doing today. They are putting journalists in jail. They are managing the institutions. Today, if Mr. Amit Shah has to pick up the phone, ED will raid the next person immediately. ED does. ED never some problem in some state. ED gets active in, and why does ED get only active against? Question this. Big
but
money
do you realize? But there is no attempt to placate, Mr. Gundu Rao. You've already moved a disqualification notice, which means there is no attempt to sort of discuss, to resolve matters. Why is that so? It happened in Assam, where you had a tall leader with a lot of clout leaving the party bleeding, and it could happen again in Goa.
See, we are ready to face the consequences, but we cannot allow people who have got everything from the Congress and holding positions in the Congress trying to demolish the Congress from inside you and hobnobbing with BJP. You want us to just keep quiet and not do anything and say, oh, fine, you people go do what you want. We will not take any action against you. See, the BJP wanted to have a 2/3 majority in Goa, or the split of the Congress party by 2/3. So they could not do that 2/3. So today it's come to it's in limbo, because they wanted at least 8 MLAs to switch. Unfortunately for them, 6 of the MLAs today have stayed back, and there's one. Totally, there are 7 MLAs now with us. So this is a failed operation by the BJP. This is a failed operation. BJP has tried. But they have failed in this today. But that doesn't mean that we will not take action against those leaders who are conspiring with them, who are openly trying to destabilize this party from within.
So now tell me, Mr. Mukul Vasnik, Mr. Alixo Sequeira and yourself had a huddle earlier this evening. What is being decided to salvage the situation?
We believe in democracy. We have not humiliated any leader. Either KAMAT has been humiliated, Michael Lobo has been humiliated. Now, if they are their personal gain, we cannot let the party be sacrificed. And if BJP wants to use big business, big money, and institutional mechanisms to destroy opposition parties, then we will fight. Because if we don't fight, then who will fight? Then tomorrow you will have a system in this country today where there's nobody can raise their voice against this BJP. Because you're so scared to talk against them. Because tomorrow, if you talk against them, the agencies are on to you. So we have to fight and we have to save the democracy, and we will do it. Whatever may be the cost, whatever may be the price we have to pay, but we have to do it. Who else can do it if not the Congress
But
party?
none of these two leaders, Mr. Gundu Rao, is saying, talking about joining BJP, by the way. You are suggesting all of this is engineered by the BJP. There are inducements being offered. But the two leaders have squarely dismissed and says, no, it's not about joining the BJP. We are clearly discontent, with the workings within the party. So there's an internal churn happening which may have nothing to do with the BJP, is what these two leaders are saying.
See, now the fact of the matter is, because they could not get the 2/3 number, today they are saying this. So if they had the number 8, if 8 MLAs had gone, these two people would have been speaking a different tune today. Unfortunately for them, it didn't work out. Yesterday, Mr. Michael Lobo was with me. He reaches the Congress office. Then he makes up all kinds of false excuses and he runs away. He literally ran away from the Congress party, the Congress party office. Mr. DIGAMBAR KAMAT has been contacting all our MLAs, talking to them and saying, let's go to BJP, let's go to BJP. He's been doing this continuously, desperately, saying they're willing to offer ministries. They're willing to offer us portfolios, the chairmanships. He's been spearheading this campaign. You know what's happening? Our own MLAs have told us. So you want us to keep quiet and not do anything just because somebody has got some other opinion?
What is your plan of action, Mr. Gundu Rao? Are you going to even make any effort to reconcile with these two tall leaders of the Congress party, or are you going to push for punishment?
See, Mr. Mukul Vasnik is here. I'm sure he will look at this and talk to everybody. And even if these two people want to come and talk to Mr. Mukul Vasnik, they can come and talk. See, Congress party is a broad-minded party. But that doesn't mean that you can come and try to conspire with the BJP and expect the Congress party not to do anything. We will take firm action, and whoever stays with us those are the loyal people who are willing to fight. And we will talk. We are talking to everybody right now. We are having a CLP meeting right now going on, and we are discussing with all of them. And Mr. Mukul Vasnik is here, and we will take whatever necessary steps to see that we will be a credible opposition in Goa, and we will raise the issues of the people of Goa, and whatever the mistakes and the errors and the whatever that the Goa government, the BJP government does, that we will bring it to the people's,
Mr. Gundu Rao, one last question before I let you go. Yes, the pledge that you made the MLAs take, why did the party think of doing something like that? Did you have some inkling that there could be a rebellion brewing? Because now it's become like no amount of loyalty pledges taken by the MLAs are helping you and your party.
See, it's not a question of helping. You are unfortunately not asking the right questions. Why is BJP out to destroy opposition parties? Why are they misusing machineries? Why are they using?
I began by asking you that. I began by asking you that why do you think BJP will engineer? Because they are in power. They are saying they are comfortable in Goa. This time it's not like you are in power and they are dismantling the government. No. Therefore, your argument in this case is a bit weak. And that is what the BJP is saying, that why do we need their MLAs? We are comfortably placed in the government. That's the question I began by asking you.
For them, it's their hunger for power, and they want an opposition-free country. Not only in Goa, ultimately they want no opposition in this country.
Okay.
And they want to silence every opposition party and every opposition party leader. They're threatening. They're using everything to see that opposition parties cannot speak, cannot talk, and it becomes a one-party rule. That is the true, theory. That is that is the true events that is happening in this country today. That it's a becoming authoritarian state, and we have to fight it.
Okay, you are suggesting that this is Operation Lotus and nothing else. Of course, we will continue to look at all aspects of this. At the moment, Dinesh Gundurao, thank you so much for joining us and for being candid with your responses to my questions. All right, introducing here on the program now, let me go across to the panel joining us this evening. Giriraj Pai Varnekar, spokesperson of the BJP, Clyde Crasto, spokesperson of NCP, Atul Londhe Patil, spokesperson of the Congress, Sakit Gokhale, national spokesperson of the TMC, and Smita Gupta, senior journalist, as well as Hemant Atri, senior journalist, joining us on Urban Debate. Thank you so much for joining us on Urban Debate. Let me begin by asking Clyde Crasto, who also made quite a few statements over the recent developments. Mr. Crasto, you are saying also, like we heard Mr. Gundurao say, that this is all BJP is doing. Are you really convinced that this rebellion that is happening right now in Goa with as many as 6 members of the Congress in touch with BJP, according to reports, is it masterminded by the BJP?
The obvious, right? I mean, if you look at everything that's happening across the country and in different states, whether it's Karnataka or Maharashtra, I'll tell you why I say this also. It's because there are BJP leaders in Maharashtra who are just saying this is just a preview. You know, we've done this in Karnataka before, in Maharashtra, this is just a preview, and next would be Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. So they are actually, the leaders around here are saying the same thing. And let me go back to Goa. The point here is, about Michael Lobo. Michael Lobo himself says that, there are a lot of issues raised by the government against me. So the point here is, like they did in other places, whether it's Hardik Patel or any other leader, where the BJP goes to town accusing them, whether it's Pratap Sarnaik in Maharashtra or Yamini Jadhav in Maharashtra, they go to town accusing them, and they are called by ED and everybody. And then when they join BJP, everything goes silent. It's like this washing machine that they have, they wash them clean and everybody comes out clean. So that's why doubts are going to be raised, questions are going to be asked, that someone like a Michael Lobo, who was being chased by the BJP in Goa, is suddenly talking a different tune. So are they going to clean him up like that too? And let me tell you one more thing, Afrida, that this is a very dangerous precedent that is being set in the country. This is going to have repercussions, because our democracy is going to get affected. I mean, you do things like this, you fight an election, contest an election, and then when the elections are over, you put pressure on these people and you bring them back and you tell them to join BJP, and they join BJP through the back door. So it's detrimental. This whole thing is detrimental to the democracy. And when I tweeted whatever statements that I made, you have to look at it that way. Digambar Kamaji, I mean, what did he not get? What did he not get? Now, let me tell you a point. There was a point made by Digambar Kamaji saying that he felt humiliated and he was given a raw deal. I'll tell you 2 things. There are a lot of leaders in Maharashtra, okay, in the BJP, who are also suffering, who have gone on, behind the curtain or said the same thing to different people. But the difference between those leaders not going anywhere and these leaders joining the BJP is that there's no pressure on the BJP leaders. These people, they may have done wrong, not wrong, that the law will decide. I'm no one to judge that. But the point here is the pressure that comes on them. That's the reason they are moving sides. So this is something that needs to be
So these are the 2 main arguments, Mr. Giriraj Pai Varnekar, against the BJP, that you are using the central agencies to either threaten and intimidate, owing to which many leaders, just to get a clean chit, moves to the BJP, or there is a plan, a master plan to derail elected governments like it happened in Maharashtra, and it's all deliberately done with inducements of money, etc., to get the MLAs move sides. Your response to the arguments made both by Mr. Gundurao and what you just heard from Mr. Crasto?
See, I'm really, surprised that Mr. Crasto speaks about democracy. When Ketki Chitle spent 1 month in jail for not even, mentioning their supreme leader, and she had to She had to spend 1 month in jail. Secondly, their former home minister is in jail, and not for freedom fighting, but for corruption. Let me just come.
You need to do your homework, my friend.
Please let him complete, Mr. Crasto. Please let him complete.
I allowed you,
You didn't allow me. Afrida Rahaman Ali allowed me to speak.
No, hang on. Mr. Clyde Crasto, don't get impatient to rebut. I'll allow you time. You can trust me on that. Let him complete.
Don't behave like you did in 2019 when you stole a mandate in Maharashtra and from the government when you were number 3. So please don't give us sermons about democracy. Secondly, what is happening in Goa? Mr. Gundu Rao talks about, BJP engineering it. But in yesterday's press conference, he was very categorical that the masterminds and conspirators of the defection were Mr. DIGAMBAR KAMAT and Michael Lobo. Congress in Goa is devoid of ideas and people because, one, their current president joined the party just, maybe 2 months before the elections. Their leader of opposition went in from the BJP after spending 15 to 20 years in the BJP. And even Mr. Gundu Rao accepts that Digambar Kamath was made the chief minister within 2 years of him joining the Congress. So this shows that there is absolutely dearth of talent in the Congress. As far as the BJP is concerned, we were given a mandate by the people of Goa, and we have no reason why we should engineer any defections. What is happening in Goa right now is the internal matter of the BJP. Internal matter of the Congress. And just one more point, before Congress starts blaming the opposition for everything that is going wrong, in trying to keep the Gandhis relevant in the party, the group of 23 is already vocal. They have not joined the BJP, nor Mr. Sachin Pilot, who was seen as a generation next leader, who has not joined the BJP but continues to be at loggerheads with the Congress. So how long are they going to, blame the BJP and the party that gave India the emergency to muzzle opposition and dismissed more than 30-odd state governments? Today, when it is coming back to haunt them, they are crying with the opposition's name. But I still say and repeat that this is an internal matter of the Congress, and they are disgruntled because Rahul Gandhi is not a leader at all.
I will have Atul Londhe respond to that, but I need to go across to Saket Gokhale quickly since.
Can I just give 30 seconds? Can you do
No, the rebuttals will come.
I need to answer him. No,
you do need to answer him. Very quickly, 30 seconds, Mr. Crasto.
30 seconds, quickly. I'll tell you. So, the BJP spokesperson needs to do his homework. Okay, the lady that he mentioned about, the cases against her, the cases were not for a particular thing. Okay, it was also because of her statements on Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar, and there were about 22
we are focusing on Goa now. I'm afraid, I will not have time to go into.
You allowed him to talk about everything else but Goa.
No, I just allowed him to.
You allowed him.
I will allow you rebuttal, but please keep your rebuttals to Goa. If we digress, we will not be able to cover the important issues.
This is absolutely unfair.
You made your point.
Emergency to everywhere.
Yes.
You allowed him to talk from emergencies to everywhere. So I should also get a chance to do
I will allow everyone to make all the points they want. Please bear with me. Saket Gokhale, the TMC also is towing this particular line that the BJP is masterminding it. But you just heard Mr. Pai Varnikar strongly dismissing it. And even the leaders in Goa who have broken ranks say that they are not joining the BJP at the moment. Why then is the opposition hell-bent on blaming the BJP in this scenario?
Hi, thanks, Frida. Look, I heard the BJP spokesperson earlier. And, even in Maharashtra, we heard the BJP constantly when the crisis started saying, oh, no, it's their internal matter. We are not involved, only to go ahead and then give support and form the government with a rebel faction. It's also very funny when BJP talks about 2019 and mandate and democracy. If the mandate was in Maharashtra for the BJP Shiv Sena, then I don't know when did Mr. Ajit Pawar join the Shiv Sena for Fadnavis to go and take oath with him secretly at 6 o'clock in the morning. The bottom line is it's a fact. It's not just in Maharashtra or in Goa. We are seeing this in a lot of other states where the BJP uses the ED and the CBI to go after political opponents. The idea is, look, even if they're in power in a certain state, the issue with them is that they don't want to play by the rules of democracy. Their idea into getting into a certain state is to demolish whatever opposition is left in that state to finish that off. Now in West Bengal, we did not give them that chance. Similarly, what we are saying in Goa, also see Goa, you have to look through the prism of what Goan politics has been over the last sort of, 20, 30 odd years. It's been this musical chairs between the BJP and the Congress, where a Michael Lobo is in the BJP, then goes to the Congress. Then before the elections, someone from the Congress will jump to the BJP. It will happen after the elections. And it's become a bit of a circus, really. I mean, the people in Goa now have accepted that as a part of their life, that, today we don't know which MLA or which leader of ours is going to be in which party. So 20 to 25 years of this musical chairs is why we decided to come to Goa in the first place. I mean, there was no reason for us otherwise to come and contest an election in Goa or to set up, our unit in Goa. But the reason we have come into Goa is because people are tired of this BJP Congress musical chair happening. And obviously BJP here has the upper hand because BJP has, out of 100 rupees in electoral bonds, 80% of that 80 rupees go to the BJP. So they have unlimited machine, money. They have the central machine at their hands. They have the ED and the CBI. I mean, how is any party supposed to fight against that when they control the system and they mend the system, they bend the system according to their own will?
Okay, right. Let me have opening comments from Mr. Atul Londhe Patil on this. What would you say to the arguments that you just heard from both sides?
Our party in charge, Gundraoji, has already explained to you what has happened in Goa. But let me continue with Saket. Apart from the musical chair she has explained, why only those people whom against the allegations made of money laundering and corruption joins BJP? Before joining BJP, they start making allegations against the party. They don't say about that they are being heard by the party when they were chief minister, when they were CLP, when they were leader of opposition. Suddenly, at the time of joining BJP, they blamed the party which give them everything. They have come up with a new formula.
But in this case, if I may ask you, Atul Patil, Mr. Michael Lobo joined the Congress party ahead of the elections. He's already on his way out. What was the reason he joined Congress and what is the reason he is leaving now?
Because at that time, the public opinion was with the Congress government, and there was talk in the Goa, because I was also there for 5 days for the campaigning, that people were talking that Congress government will come back to power. But somehow that mandate was purchased. I am not the person who is blaming. It was Mr. Parrikar's son who blamed that.
People of Goa.
Listen. I am not insulting people of Goa. You BJP people have insulted the democracy. You BJP people.
No, let him finish. I'll allow you time to rebut. Please substantiate the point you are making, Atul Patil. You are saying the mandate was purchased. Why do you say that?
Listen, Afrida, I was there for 5 days. I have interacted with the local press of the Goa. These people told us that 25,000 per family has been given. They were given a coupon and they were asked to purchase whatever they want to purchase. And it is not Atul Londhe, or it is not a Congress, or it is not TMC who is blaming. It is Parrikar's son. It is Parrikar's son who blamed BJP for this. And why it is happening only with the people whom against the allegations made of the money laundering and corruption and everything. Louis Burgess, if you remember Louis Burgess.
What about Digambar Kamat? Mr. Digambar Kamat is saying that he's been left sidelined. He says, I'm left hurt and humiliated. When you got Mr. Michael Lobo into the party, his elevation has ruffled feathers. Am I wrong? Because clearly that was mismanaged. It often happens that when you get a leader from another party parachuted in, the current state unit is often disgruntled. That should have been managed well. The central leadership seems to be completely disconnected with what's happening in the state unit.
In that
and
case,
it's not just
what
Goa.
happens in Maharashtra
It's happening everywhere else. In Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, the state units are currently in a state of turmoil. So it is not about only Goa, is it, Mr. Atul Londhe?
See, all other people have already explained that they want Indian democracy without opposition. Shat Prashidhat Bhajapa. And they have aligned with ED, CBI, income tax and all. And they are engineering all kind of conspiracy, saying, "Me nahi tyatli." The saying of Marathi in Maharashtra, we are not involved in this. But finally, you will find that it was the BJP who engineered all the things. Maharashtra is the best
So
example.
you're saying there's nothing wrong with the Congress party? So many leaders have left, even the likes of Kapil Sibal, the stalwarts of your party have spoken out.
You did not get my point.
Still saying
Afrida,
that there is no issue with the
Afrida.
Congress leadership?
Only those people are defecting. Afrida, listen, only those people are defecting who's being blamed by BJP for money laundering, who's after ED and income tax and CBIR. Let me tell you why Hemant Sarma, Louis Berger case has something to do with the Goa political rumors. Say, Louis Berger has been investigated by CBI in Assam. Louis Berger case has been investigated in Goa also. Digambar Kamat was involved into that. Gundu Raoji has not told you one thing, that Hemant Sarma has contacted Digambar Kamatji, and this is how they have tried to defect 10 MLAs. Out of 10 MLAs, 7 MLAs.
Okay, let me have a neutral voice now, because I need to get clear perspective on the political scenario with respect to whether in a state like Goa, will there be a desperation in state like Goa also, where the party is in a comfortable position? The BJP says, why should we even try to woo any other MLA? The Congress, the TMC, the NCP, of course, the entire opposition has been making this point that central agencies are being used, and BJP has become a washing machine, some say, to clean the sins of the past and to immediately get a clean sheet. This has been the oft-repeated argument by the opposition parties. Smita Gupta and Hemant Atri. First, Smita Gupta, your observations on this.
Well, I first want to speak about the BJP, then I'll get to the Congress.
Sure.
So give me a minute. So I do agree with Mr. Clyde, Crasto, and some of the other speakers before me that the BJP's one-point program is to have a country without an opposition, which is why, despite the fact that they have a majority in Goa, are still interested in demolishing the Congress party, and they are using this carrot and stick policy, either allurements to get them into the party or the stick using the agencies. That is very clear. They are hollowing out democracy, trying to finish off the opposition. But my question to the opposition is, even today, the TMC spokesperson on your panel, as well as the Congress spokesperson, they both took a swipe at each other. My point is that what is it? I mean, the TMC coming and saying that, okay, there's this musical chairs happening in Goa, so we are coming in to save Goa. The Congress making a swipe about the Trinamool. Isn't it time, given the strength of the BJP in the country and the poor shape the opposition is in, for opposition forces, if they believe in secularism and if they believe in democracy, to join hands? Number three, as far as the Congress party is concerned, I think it has only itself to blame. If today, why are people leaving? Yes, you can say that people, they took oaths in temples, they took oaths in churches, and yet they are not loyal to the party. I'm not defending any of that. I'm not defending congressmen who are abandoning their ideology and moving on to the BJP. But the fact is, there is no leadership in the Congress party today. There is no attempt to, even fight the BJP. I mean, it's so lackadaisical. I mean, would anybody wish to be part of an organization which is a failed organization? Why does one stay with any outfit? One, that I am doing well in that outfit. B, the outfit itself is doing well, even though I may not be doing that well. I'm proud to be part of that. There is no pride in being a congressman today. And that is something that has to, the Congress has to look at squarely. You had the recent Chintan Shivir in Udaipur. What happened? It was a managed kind of thing just to ensure that nobody attacks Rahul Gandhi. That is all. There was no open debate. All the discussions that took place were structured in such a way that there was no introspection at all. Since Udaipur, which is just a few months ago, you mentioned Kapil Sibal leaving. Sunil Jakhar, an important leader in Punjab, quit. Hardik Patel, who was seen as a hope for the Gujarat Congress, he quit. Brajesh Kalappa, after 25 years, he left the, and face of the, one of the many younger faces in the Karnataka Congress, quit. I mean, you cannot, and Ajay Markan lost his Rajya Sabha seat because of cross-voting. In Maharashtra, 7 of its MLAs cross-voted in the MLC polls.
Yes.
Following the Sena split. And 11 Congress MLAs were absent in the trust vote. I mean, what is happening in the Congress party? Why don't congressmen care anymore? Because they feel this is a party going down the drain.
Hemant Atri, your thoughts, what Smita Gupta is arguing is that here are members of the Congress who are jumping the sinking ship. Yes, I will allow you to respond. Quick word from Hemant Atri, please.
Afrida ji, first of all, I feel pity on what Mr. Gundu Rao said and what my esteemed colleague in this Congress spokesperson said. See, Congress party is not able to get out of its feudal mindset. That is point number one. The kind of general secretaries, the kind of in charges that they put in the states, they are basically not the organization's men. They are the handpicked people of Congress High Command who have no ear and eye on the ground. That is point number one.
Okay.
By simply blaming BJP for doing the mess what has happened in the Congress, we have to understand one thing, that Congress is such a party which is not able to learn from its past follies. So my colleague Smita was saying so many things, but I'll come to just one point which is very important. See, they made Mr. KAMAT a permanent CWC member. He is a 7-time MLA. He is the ex-chief minister of Congress party. He has been twice an MLA from BJP also. A person of his stature, he has been, pushed to Delhi for no reason. Earlier, during the campaign, what Mr. Gundu Rao used to say, everybody knows who will be the chief minister. Then all of a sudden, after losing the election, you put him to the CWC permanent invitee, and you make Mr. Lobo, who is just an opportunist and coming from the BJP, right? So what will happen to your cadres? A person who is joining Congress party today, and you are making him CLP leader tomorrow, or for that matter, leader of opposition. What will happen to your cadres?
Can I come in?
As far as BJP is concerned, we need to understand one thing. See, BJP is not playing in Goa. They are already having 20 seats out of 40. They are comfortable here. What they are doing here is, they are getting the gains of the Congress infighting for Karnataka and Gujarat. As we all know, within 6 months from now, there are elections in Gujarat and Karnataka. And that Goa episode will certainly have a resonance in Karnataka as well as Gujarat. But the kind of message that BJP wants to give is, look, if you vote at all for Congress party, they will come to us.
Absolutely. Very good point. In fact, I will have Atul Patil and Clyde Crasto respond. Atul Patil, go ahead.
All well said by Smita ji and Hemant ji. I give respect to the journalist, but with all due respect, can you answer my few questions? Why all these feudal lords are welcomed in Bhajapa? All the posts in BJP and Bhajapa cadres do not get anything.
You are not answering one question that Mr. Atri raised very correctly. That when you accommodated Michael Lobo in a way that hurt other leaders, enough was not done to placate them or to have probably, even explain to them probably, because they continued with that simmering discontent until now that they've decided to leave the party. This is what DIGAMBAR KAMAT also says. Let's answer that first. Did you mismanage this
I'm
in
answering
Goa?
each and every question.
Answer on the point of Michael Lobo, please.
It is not about Goa only. Michael Lobo's defection from BJP to Congress was a political thing. He was not forced by anything like ED, CBI, or any other government agency, central government agency. So you need to look into that. I mentioned one point which you did not go well with all you people. Why media doesn't ask question to BJP? Is it not your responsibility to save the democracy? Is it only responsibility of opposition party to save the democracy? Number one. Number two, it is not about ideology. Why only tarnished people join the BJP? Those who are pure, those who are not involved in any crime or any corruption cases, they are remained with the party.
You made this point.
So forget about last point. Can Smita ji or Hemant ji explain it to the people of Maharashtra or people of India how feudal lords of Congress, whom you are blaming, are easily accommodated on all big posts.
You also need to answer Smita Gupta. No. You also need to answer Smita Gupta, who says there is no opposition unity. You are talking about saving democracy. Where is the unity within the opposition ranks? Why is the Congress and the TMC also talking in two different tunes today? You are not able to keep your flock together. Neither are you able to maintain strong allies.
They were not talking differently. They were not talking differently. Can I come in?
Yes, okay, one by one. One by one.
Than what Saket
Clyde, Crasto, and then Saket Gokhale. Clyde, go ahead.
Saket has said.
Okay, Afrida. Now I need to make 2 points, and I request you to let me say it. I'll say it quickly. First point is we are talking about Michael Lobo all the time. Now we all have sources. You have your sources, and we have our sources to the ground in Goa. Now there's another angle that was told to us today that one of the reasons why Michael Lobo and DIGAMBAR, KAMAT, and the others were targeted because there are certain leaders in the BJP, in the ministry, who are getting too big for their boots. So the higher ups in the BJP in Goa are getting ruffled. So to have that cushion and have that safety, they want some of those people from Congress so that if tomorrow one of their own or two of their own go away, they have a buffer in the government. This is what our sources. I hope it's not true, but this is a food for thought for every Goan, and to understand that what kind of games BJP is playing. Secondly, you kept saying that DIGAMBAR Kamath is hurt, and when a senior leader is there and someone else comes and you get hurt, then I fear for Maharashtra. Then you know why I fear for Maharashtra? Because for 2.5 years, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, whom they call their stalwart and big leader, was working hard to bring this government down. They suddenly brought in Mr. Eknath Shinde and they gave him the chief minister's post. Initially, Devendra Fadnavis ji did not take any post, and then within half an hour, they gave him a deputy chief minister's post. So if that logic applies,
we'll have to wait and see if the rebellion brews. Maybe BJP is much better at managing that.
I feel sorry.
There is no murmur from Mr. Fadnavis of any discontent as of now, from what we know. But it's not the same with Mr. Kamath. He's been talking about being unhappy with this situation.
Calling you and telling you, Afrida, that is not discontent. Wait and watch.
Yes, we'll wait and watch. We will wait and watch.
Wait and watch. Yes,
if the same logic applies, which you are wishing for, I do understand. You do wish that happens with Mr. Fadnavis, what Mr. Kamath has said. But we will have to only talk about it when that happens.
You're asking me to wait and watch. I think, Afrida, you should also wait and watch like you're asking me to wait and watch.
We will. I take your point.
Don't jump the gun.
Afrida, it is very sad.
Let's have a civilized debate. We need to hear each other out.
Why
Saket Gokhale, go ahead.
This is very unfortunate. Afrida, nobody from media is asking question to BJP. Why it is losing the democracy? Isn't it your responsibility?
I took that point and I asked you why you do not maintain the kind of opposition unity that is required. I took your point. Let the others respond. Yes, Mr. Gokhale.
Okay. Now, to the point about opposition unity, I want to dispel this constant notion we hear that the opposition is not united. Look, just about 3 weeks ago, 19 parties got together. Meeting was convened by West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. 19 opposition parties, including the Congress, including the NCP, got together and selected a unanimous opposition presidential candidate. So the thing about, in Parliament, for example, be it our party, be it the Congress, be it the NCP.
But then Mamata Banerjee comes out and says that had I known Murmu would be appointed, I would have supported her. Didn't Ms. Mamata Banerjee say that?
If you won't interrupt me, then I will have a chance to finish whatever. I mean, just because I'm not from the BJP doesn't mean I can be interrupted, right? Thank you.
Not at all. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Yeah. So the point here is that we see eye to eye on a lot of issues. Yes, there are certain issues where we do disagree. It's not a question of taking a swipe. It's a question of, for example, we think it would have been pragmatic on part of the Congress leadership to have made an alliance with like-minded parties wherever possible. Places where the Congress is strong enough to take the BJP alone, great. But in other places, the Congress should come to the table. And it's not like it's not happening. The Congress, like I said, the presidential campaign recently, for all these things, the Congress has been coming to the table. But look, opposition unity, one difference you need to realize is, you rightly said a while ago that, you haven't heard any disgruntlement from Mr. Fadnavis or Mr. Yedurappa. See, remember, today if there is somebody disgruntled in the Congress or the NCP or or any other party, they get up and they speak their voice. They speak what they feel in their minds. Today, anybody in the BJP that's disgruntled is thinking about Harin Pandya in Gujarat. And they will think, if I open my mouth, I cannot go for a morning walk tomorrow morning. That is the difference between being disgruntled in the BJP and being disgruntled in the other parties. Our parties are democratic where people can speak up. In the BJP tomorrow, they might just not send the ED behind you. You might not even exist tomorrow morning if you disagree with them.
Quick response, Mr. Varnekar.
It's so ironical that Saket Gokhale keeps talking about, democracy and threat to life. We have all seen post-poll violence, even the courts taking prima facie cognizance of the violence that has taken place. So Mr. Gokhale will consider himself lucky that, whenever he goes to Bengal, he represents the TMC. Coming back to Mr. Crasto as well as Mr. Gokhale, their parties contested elections in Goa and came back with 0 seats. Mr. Saket Gokhale has
there was a time when you were also 0. So don't write us out. Talk to the point. No, talk about defections. Talk about you putting pressure on Michael Lobo and DIGAMBAR KAMAT.
Mr. Varnekar, you should respond to the points made by the neutral journalist, and I'm going to put it across to you. You need to respond on the point made by Mr. Atri that this is preparing the ground for Karnataka and Gujarat. So to the point about why would we try to woo the MLAs, the response was that you are doing so to create or to build up for the state elections coming up in Karnataka and Gujarat. So BJP never gives up on its agenda of electoral politics, even in a state where you are comfortably placed. That's the argument made by the journalists on the panel. Please go ahead, Mr. Varnekar, you first. Mr. Varnekar, please respond.
As far as the BJP is concerned, we have absolute numbers and support from independents and our other party, MGP. So as far as the numbers are concerned, we have absolutely no need to garner. So I again repeat that what is happening in Goa is the internal matter of the Congress. Okay. And as far as the people of Goa are concerned, that TMC, Congress, as well as NCP have been rejected. Talking about allegations, the same Congress had multiple allegations against Michael Lobo. Was Congress a washing machine that he suddenly became so clean that they made him the leader of opposition? I think they should answer the same question. They keep saying that, we blamed, did they not blame Lobo or DIGAMBAR KAMAT? And in 2005, when DIGAMBAR KAMAT joined the Congress by breaking away from Manohar Parrikar government and got our government defeated, what was it? Was it ED? Was it the CBI? Or is it only that, you start blaming the BJP when it comes to your own party? When Mr. Shivraj Patil had said that split is a continuous process, where were these champions of democracy? I think they should have some memory, I think they have had some memory lapse, and they should remember that maximum splits have been engineered in the country by the Congress, and the one in Goa also has been engineered by their own people.
So you are saying you are following the Congress and their trajectory. The BJP today wants to follow the footsteps of what the Congress did in the past, Mr. Varnekar. Would you concede to that the wrongs that are done by the Congress, you will repeat that because you follow their footsteps. Let me have Smita Gupta come in. Yes, Ms. Gupta.
By Youth Congress. Was it
no, so Afrida, the BJP spokesperson has shown some guts and said that, they have a washing machine and they are engineering the split. So kudos to him for showing the gut and accepting it.
We have not engineered the split.
Okay, let's not make it a swinging match here because this is not the mandate of this program. We are not supposed to have, this sort of an argument. I would like to bring in a sane voice. Smita Gupta, go ahead.
Referred to the Congressification of the BJP. Well, that is inevitable, I mean, the Congress was in power for a long time. It is not easy being in power. So the BJP has picked up a lot of, skills that the Congress had demonstrated in the past. But having said that, I think what is most important today is that there is a danger to this country. Democracy is being hollowed out. The other day, somebody said to me, you may have a strong leader, but if your institutions are weak, the country will lose in the end. You may have a weak leader, but you have strong institutions. The country will do far better. So this is something that when the BJP keeps talking about its strong leader, this is something that you have to look, you're not look just at today, but look at the future. Democracy is being hollowed out, our institutions are failing, and collectively, neither the ruling party the ruling party, of course, feels that it needs to just stay on in power, and therefore it is on this, 365-day, 24/7, project to win more and more elections. I agree with the other journalist on the panel who said that this is probably a signal for Gujarat and Karnataka. That is the whole point of this, that they're constantly fighting elections, and they feel that as long as they can stay in power, no matter what happens to our institutions, no matter what happens elsewhere, they'll be in power. And I think that will be self-defeating in the long run. It will, and it is bad for India as a whole, is bad for us all as citizens.
Absolutely, and you put it so well. The fact that the institutions are strong, then the system itself is robust, then things don't really go wrong. But here we have come to a juncture where people's mandate itself is overturned. It's happening over and over again, and that I think is the biggest tragedy for a democratic country. Why would you even have elections then? If MLAs today have become purchasable commodities, and we have seen it, I don't think anybody in the panel can disagree with this today, because this has happened repeatedly, state after state. Governments are overturned. The next thing you know, MLAs are bought over. Anti-defection law no longer is working because political parties, specifically the ruling party, I will not shy away from saying it, have found a way around it to even subvert what is there in law. The anti-defection law today has almost become defunct because parties have found a way around it. Yes, go ahead. Clyde, you wanted to come in.
I'm trying to tell you something very clearly. What is really happening is, words like chicanery, deceit, central powers, all these things are in play all across the country. And I repeat this again. There are BJP leaders who are saying that, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Goa was just the preview. Now we are going next for Chhattisgarh. We are going for Rajasthan. So there is a design. There is a design across the country. There's a blueprint plan that is going on. Is to target these people, like Atul said and like Saket said. The ones who have the heat on them are the ones who are being pressurized and to come back. And let me tell you one thing: you cannot rule out that food for thought that I gave you. That the leadership in Goa is feeling the heat within themselves. There are some leaders in Goa who are getting too big for their boots, and that is one of the reasons why they will do something like that. I have to interrupt you in this
point that you're repeatedly making about those only who are tainted are moving. MLAs are moving en masse. There is a mismanagement within the...
See, there is a domino
if
effect.
Mr. Thackeray did not have a whiff of the kind of rebellion that was brewing and your MVA government collapsed, you can't keep blaming. You cannot keep blaming the BJP. There is a serious amount of disconnect. Whether it is Uddhav Thackeray with his leaders, grassroots leaders like Mr. Eknath Shinde, or it is about Digambar Kamat, losing the kind of connect with the central leadership of the Congress.
Mr. Crasto,
you keep talking.
Since you are repeatedly making the point about I am sorry, I have to make this very clear that there is a disconnect, there is mismanagement within the parties, and while I take your point, in fact, I said it, that MLAs have become purchasable commodities, it's for everyone to see. It's become an open secret. But at the same time, like Smita Gupta also says, you cannot shy away from accepting the internal mismanagement, the lack of leadership, the lack of unity within the opposition. Am I wrong in saying this, Mr. Crasto?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can I talk without you interjecting? Can I hear? You gave a big long talk about, Uddhav Thackeray didn't know anything. The heat put on people like Pratap Sarnaik, Yamini Jadhav, Eknath Shinde, central agencies were used. After that, what? They're going to run away any which way. They ran away. So are you trying to say that I will ask you a question? Kirit Somaiya would wake up every morning and speak about Pratap Sarnaik. He would speak about Yamini Jadhav. He would speak about Eknath Shinde. I haven't heard his voice in the last 10 days. So what are you talking about that nobody had a whiff?
No, on your point about only the tainted are moving, I had to give you that response. Unfortunately, I'm out of time, entirely out of time. Quickly, Mr. Varnekar, last word to you, and I have to close the program. Go ahead. Giriraj Bhai Varnekar.
I will keep telling you they are targeting the tainted because the tainted are
Crasto,
feeling the heat.
Despite of having a central government, you were able to cheat a mandate in Maharashtra and form a government even when you were at number 3.
No, I'm sorry. That applies all across about cheating the mandate. We've seen it happen in both sides. We have seen that happen in Maharashtra, yes, but we saw that happening again. No, I'm sorry, that cheating the mandate has happened in multiple states ruled by different parties. I'll have to leave it at that. Thank you very much for joining us, to all our panelists who's given us your time and for speaking on this very, very important issue of how the Goa Congress now is dealing with inner turmoil. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a short break. News and updates continue on the other side. Stay with us.